Hey guys, it's Melissa here from melissaoatman.com. Welcome to another episode of Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness. I am so happy that you are here with us today. Today I am going to be talking about taking responsibility for your actions. I channeled some messages from the universe about needing to take responsibility for our actions right now, in whatever that means to you. So I'm going to give you some helpful tips on how to do just that, especially when your ego is telling you, I am right and I cannot bend or change my position in any way. So we're going to talk about that today. It is something that affects each and every one of us. Before we get into today's episode, I want to ask you a question. Have you ever heard of the blue blocking glasses? I'm sure that you have. I probably know a lot of people wear them because blue light affects your eyes if you're sitting in front of the computer screen all day or staring at your cell phone all day. But have you ever thought about the fact that it might be affecting your skin as well? Well, I have, and I was doing a little research and I found a company called Impression Derma. Impression Derma is a company that created a skincare line especially for skin that is exposed to blue light. The HEV light wreaks havoc on our skin. We know what it does to our eyes, but it also affects the moisture in your skin, and it can cause premature aging. Blue light generates reactive oxygen species deep within the skin, which leads to a loss of elasticity, dryness, fine lines, and photoaging. The company Impression Derma created a moisturizer to fight the blue light and its effects on your skin. It's called ID, let's face it. And this powerful moisturizer has a lot of active ingredients that actually help to bring the moisture back into your face. If you want to check out their moisturizer, go to their website, impressionderma.com, and you will see exactly how blue light is affecting you more than you realize. And with their powerful active ingredients like Blumilite Biofunctional, which turns back the clock, also Floraglow Lutein, which is like sunscreen for your skin, and so many other amazing ingredients to help you fight the effects of premature aging that blue light often gives us. Go check out Impression Derma today. All right, I want to thank you for joining me today. If you're new, I want to welcome you. If you're returning, welcome back. So today we're talking about stepping up and taking responsibility for your actions. And what does that exactly mean? I mean, we hear that all the time, at least we did growing up, or I did. You need to take responsibility for your actions. But as I was channeling messages from the universe this week, that's one of the ones that was loud and clear was, be responsible for your own part. And when I heard be responsible for your own part, it means take responsibility for the part that you played in your life. Wherever you are in your life, however you've gotten there, you played a part in that through choices you've made and through actions that you've taken. And the universe is asking you right now to be responsible and look at your life and take responsibility for the part that you played and the decisions you've made that led you to where you are right now. That's not always easy to do because we can look back and we can look at different decisions that we've made and realize like, oh, that wasn't the best thing for me to do. And sometimes we can get into that shame cycle where we just beat ourselves up over the decisions we've made in the past. But that's not what this is about, and the universe does not want you to get into that downward spiral of shame and I could have done things better. It's not about that at all. That's the ego part of us that wants to beat ourselves up because we've been told our whole lives when we do things wrong that we should be ashamed. And that's not what learning and growing looks like. It doesn't look like, okay, I'm going to go back and beat myself up because I made that one mistake in 1995. It's not what it's about. It's about going back and looking at your life and looking at the decisions you made and saying to yourself, could I have done something better? And if you could have, then choosing to see that in the future, this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to take what happened in the past. I'm going to learn from it. I'm going to grow. And I'm going to implement it into what I do in the future. I kind of think about teaching in a way. I have to come up with a lesson plan every day, right? And I've actually had this happening in my life right now So this is why I think it's so relatable to what I'm talking about. I was asked to teach economics this year, and I've never taught it before. I was almost an economics major in college. I took so many economics classes because I wanted to do business with an emphasis on international business. And I loved it. I loved economics so much. I thought it was so interesting, and it made sense to me. So when they asked me to teach it, I was kind of excited about it. It was like, yeah, I would love to. And this week, I feel like I am just a couple of steps ahead of the kids, and because I didn't have the curriculum, and it's rough because I don't want to be a boring teacher. I want to find a way to make this interesting and relatable and fun for them. And I haven't felt like I've been really doing that. It just feels like it's fallen flat and I'm failing. And for me, that's very uncomfortable. I don't like that at all. I don't like being in a position where I feel like I failed. But as you know, that I don't believe that failure is a death sentence. I think it just means first attempt in learning. So last week, I kind of had a heart-to-heart moment with myself where I said, okay, this isn't working. This isn't going well. They're learning. I know they're learning, but I don't think they're enjoying it. And I don't like that at all. I think that there has to be a way to make this meaningful for them and fun and a class that they really want to come to because they enjoy it. So how can I do that? How can I take this material that I guess really is kind of dry and boring for them? I'm all about it, but they don't like it. So how can I take this and make it more relatable and fun? I mean, the textbook is so outdated that the example that it gives them about complementary goods is tapes and CDs. Yeah, exactly. They're not going to relate to that at all. So I have to go through and find more real world examples of economics, which there's a lot of things out there. It's just I needed to not be lazy and only rely on the book and different materials that were given to me. I need to go out and search for things. And that's what good teachers do. You don't just rely on the curriculum that they've given you. You've got to go out and take it and reshape it and know who your students are and how it's going to be more relatable to them. And like I said, I don't feel like I had done a good job of that recently, so I'm trying to revamp that. But my point was that if your life isn't going the way that you want it to, you have to take responsibility to say, okay, what am I doing every single day that's contributing to the fact that I'm not happy with where I am? And that's hard because you've got to take a good look at yourself and what it is you're doing. And nobody wants to see oh, I'm doing something wrong. That's uncomfortable. And it's not a fun place to be. But it's super important. And we have to do that if we're going to be able to reflect and to learn and to grow. And that is the whole thing. Good teachers reflect on what they've done and what works and what doesn't work. And they know, any good teacher knows, if something is not working, you don't keep doing it the same way. Your kids are not going to learn. It's the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. And that's the same thing. If something didn't go well, why would you keep doing it all day long? I've been known to change my lessons midday. If I do a lesson and it didn't go well, I'll try to tweak it before the next class gets in there in that 5 minutes I have. Because it's stupid to do the same thing over and over again if you know that the kids were confused or it didn't land well or they didn't react well to it. So you've got to take what you're learning and you've got to adjust and make life adjustments. So part of this whole channeled message about taking responsibility was to take responsibility for all of your own actions in your life so far so that you can take aligned action to make changes if things are not going the way that you want them to go. It's so funny that we know that if we keep doing the same thing over and over again, we're going to get the same results. We know that. That's a given. Yet, so many of us continue to do it. And I don't really understand why. I mean, I'm guilty of it sometimes too. Why do we not understand that if I want things to be different, if I want to experience different results, I've got to change me. I'm the one that has to change. I've got to take responsibility for what I've done and change the way that I've done things. I have to take aligned action. Once I figure out, the initial part of that is figuring out what you're doing over and over again that is not working for you. And that's the part that people don't want to do, because that means I've got to look at myself and I've got to look at everything I've done in my life that has led me to where I am, all of the bad choices I've made. And for many people, it's not even about making bad choices. It's that you didn't listen or trust your intuition. So you ignored what your gut told you. You knew the right thing to do and you didn't do it anyway because you didn't trust yourself. You ignored your intuition and you just did whatever you thought everyone else would want you to do. And that's where you have gotten so far. Like, that has led you to where you are in your life right now. I know, because I used to be that way. And I remember when I was in college, I wanted to travel the world. I wanted to get a job as like an international business person. And I didn't listen to my own inner voice. I was listening to everyone around me telling me, like, you don't want to travel all the time. Like, that's a tough life. Oh, you should get a steady job. Oh, you should think about teaching. I ignored my own inner voice that was telling me, you want to travel, you want to do this. And I was listening instead to what other people were telling me, which was, you will not be successful with that. Same thing, I wanted to be a psychology major because I wanted to go into counseling because I really thought that I would do a good job with that. I thought that that would really fit well with me, and come to find out it does, because that's what I do now is I coach people, which is sort of like counseling people, and I am good at it. And I knew way back then that I was good at it and that I would have been good at it, but I didn't listen. I actually started to major in psychology and got 2 years into the program, and then I changed majors. I quit because I was told it's really hard to get a job, you won't like it, you'll be burnt out. I had listened to everyone else except my own inner voice. I wasn't listening to my higher self. My higher self knew that I came here to help people heal, but everyone else told me that was a dumb idea. So what did I do? I went with the masses, I listened to everyone else, and then I ended up doing that same career anyway in a different facet. I am now a coach, which is sort of like a counselor, and I do those same things, but just in a different way. It came back to me because that was what my life purpose was really supposed to be about. So it's important that you take accountability for what you've done in your life, or the times in your life where you have not listened to your higher self and you did the opposite of what you really wanted to do. Because that is why we end up being miserable and stuck in certain places in our lives, because we're not listening to our higher selves. And looking back at yourself and taking accountability for yourself doesn't have anything to do with blaming yourself or shaming yourself. It's not about that. Look, you're human. I'm a human. We're going to make mistakes. You're going to make more mistakes. That's why we're here. If you never made any mistakes, you would never have anything to learn from. You've made mistakes. That's fine. Get over that. You're not perfect. Get over that. That doesn't exist. Once you can just say to yourself, okay, I don't have to be perfect. I can admit that I made mistakes. Admitting it. That is the number one thing. Admitting, taking accountability, responsibility for your own mistakes. Yeah, I've made mistakes. We all have. Own up to it. There's no shame in that. The ego is the thing that comes in and says, I can't admit I made a mistake, because if I say that I made a mistake, I'm going to look bad and no one's going to respect me. And here's the deal. You will be more respected if you stand up and say, I made a mistake. That earns you more respect. When you walk away with your tail between your legs and you just don't want to admit anything, you know you've made the mistake, but you're not going to look at it, that doesn't help you. That stunts your growth because you haven't learned anything. When you take responsibility and you look back at your life and you say, yeah, you know what? I made a mistake here. What could I have done differently? Oh, you know what? When that happens again, and it will, because you're going to get tested again about it, I don't have to react the same way. I can do something different. And that's called growth. It's called learning. And that's why it's so important, because if you don't do those things, you're going to get stuck in the same cycle and patterns of behavior that you've been in your whole life. Nothing's going to move or change. if you don't look back at yourself and reflect on how you have contributed to where you are in your life. I can sit here all day long and blame my ex that he stuck me with the responsibility of raising twins and being broke and all of these things, but here's the actual truth. I saw the red flags from 50 miles away when I met him. I ignored every single one of them. I took those red flags and knitted myself a sweater. And I was like, let's go for the ride because this is going to be fun. I don't know what my deal was, why I would have done that. Except looking back now, I know I had to learn a lesson. I came here to learn that. He was just someone who was along for the ride, who helped me to learn the lesson. And when you can start looking at things that way instead of saying, I hate this person because they did this to me, or I hate this situation because this happened, stop blaming everyone else for what's happening in your life. It's absolutely your responsibility. You played a part in all of it. Everyone plays a part in everything that happens. We're 100% responsible for our own actions. And I'm sorry if you don't want to hear that or you don't like it, but I'm telling you something. You can be 100% responsible for your actions and not do the blaming thing. It's not about that. It's not about it's your fault. It's 50% your fault. That's not what it's about. We're all at fault for the things that we do, but it doesn't have to be a negative thing. It means I did this action, and now I need to learn how to be better and how I can act differently. That's what it's really all about. So you know what it's like to be with someone who blames everyone else for their actions. It's frustrating, and it makes you really angry when you're around someone who never plays any part, right? Oh, they're perfect, never do anything wrong. It was your fault. It's always your fault. It's so frustrating. That's why it's so important for you to take responsibility for what you do. You don't want to work with someone who won't admit that they've made a mistake or that they don't know what they're doing. You don't want to work with anyone like that because then they make mistakes and then blame it on you, or somehow you have to clean it up. If you know someone and you work with them and they say, hey, I don't know what I'm doing, can you help me? Isn't that so much better than having to clean up after them? In the same way, you've got to start doing that in your own life. So stop blaming others for the things that happen to you and realize that you play a role in that. We actually come here to play different roles in our lifetime. And so somehow you were paired up with this person to learn a lesson. So you're playing a role in it, and just acknowledge your role in what's happening. Take responsibility for your part. Stop making excuses, Maybe you don't know what you're doing. Admit it. There's nothing wrong with that. None of us. Many times we are wandering around this earth clueless because we did not come here with instruction manuals. Wouldn't that be great if we did? You get instruction manuals for most things in life. You don't get instruction manuals for life itself. Most of us come here, learn all of these things that we then have to be deprogrammed from and lose all of these learned behaviors and conditions that have been put on us. Even though you may have had a crappy childhood where you had parents who were neglectful or abusive, as an adult, you're still 100% responsible for learning how to change your behavior. It doesn't mean it's your fault that you learned a certain way, but if you know better, you have to do better. And that's what it's all about. It's about learning how to be better. So just own up to it and say, not making excuses, and say, hey, I did this and here's why, and I'm sorry. You will be so much more respected if you do that. And it's easier to come to a mutual agreement when you do that. Stop moaning about the situations you're in. Then you're playing the victim, and victimhood doesn't do anything to help you. It's not going to help you learn and grow and make you better. Also, if you're taking responsibility for your own life, follow through on what you commit to. If you're committed to learning and growing and changing yourself, follow through with it. Do your meditations. Do all of the things that you say you're going to do, because it's super important. And it's important to know what you really want in life too. A big part of us feeling like we're stuck is because we don't know what we want. We think we know what we want when we're young, and maybe we pick a career, maybe we pick a person, and then later in life we're like, this wasn't what I wanted. It's absolutely okay at any point in your life to change your mind and say, this wasn't what I wanted. If it's not making you happy, if it's not bringing you joy, if you have to self-medicate or any other thing to get through your life, there's a problem. You shouldn't have to. So what needs to change in your life in order for you to be happier? That's what you need to think about. And take action. Again, this is the message that kept coming out. Take aligned and intentional action towards your dreams. Whatever that is. Whether it's changing careers, getting out of bad relationships, trying to find relationships, whatever it is that you're trying to do, learning how to love yourself more, healing your past, healing those old wounds, healing the trauma. Take intentional, aligned action towards doing that. And you know what? It's one step at a time. Maybe your first step is just booking a free call with someone to see how maybe they can help you. Whether that's a guidance counselor for a career, or a coach, or a counselor for healing the personal stuff. Don't sit and do nothing because you're not taking any action and you're going to feel stuck. That stuck feeling is not going to go away. It's going to haunt you because it's there for a reason. It is the universe and your higher self telling you, get moving, take some action. Self-forgiveness is one of the most important things ever. When I say look back at your life and say, what role did I play in that? I don't mean do that to put blame on yourself or to make yourself feel bad. You shouldn't feel bad. That whole thing, until we know better, we can't do better. But then when we know better, we can do better. And that's just a paraphrase of what it is. That's so true. You did not have the tools you needed in order to make the best decisions for yourself when you were younger. Or maybe you did, but you ignored your intuition. Whatever the case may be, you have to forgive yourself and let go of all of the stuff that you're blaming yourself for. Every single human being on this planet makes mistakes, and they make them daily. And when you see someone else make a mistake, you're generally not critical. You're generally like, oh, don't blame yourself. Like, that could happen to anyone. Yet if you do it, you're like your worst, harshest critic. And you won't let yourself let go of that mistake that you made. You keep looking at it and replaying it over and over in your mind. It's time to stop doing that. Beating yourself up for that does not help. If you are in that shame spiral and you just want to beat yourself up for everything you've done, you need to work with someone who can help you, give you the tools so that you can stop doing that. Because you can. That's overthinking. It's a form of fear. It's a form of anxiety. It's all of those things. Our brains naturally want to focus on the bad stuff. So you're fighting your biology to try to let that stuff go. And working with someone who can actually show you things you can do that will help your brain kick into a different gear, start getting out of that emotional place where we just constantly are in fight or flight and we're in survival mode and we're just making all of our decisions based in fear. You can get out of that. You can stop doing that. And good counselors and coaches can show you how. Break your bad habits, okay? If you know you're doing something like you're late all the time or you're not really taking other people's feelings into consideration, stop doing that. Again, take responsibility for the things that you do. A lot of being late and all of that is procrastinating because the anxiety builds up that you don't want to go somewhere, you don't want to do this. Figure out what's causing that. You've got to get to the root of that. Also, journaling is a great way to get through your past stuff and to figure out where you want to go in life. Get it down on paper. Make a plan. Like, what do I want in my life? What do I want to see? Sometimes we don't even know. We've got to get to a point where we can see a plan for our lives. Like, how do I want to feel in a year? Where do I want to be in a year? And a lot of people don't want to look at that stuff. There's like, that's too much. Then I have to set a goal and then I have to be responsible. Yeah, duh. That's the whole point. You've got to be accountable. Someone has to hold you accountable to get from point A to point B. And a lot of people don't like that. They don't want to do that. The awesome thing about working with a coach is we do it in a way that we make you feel better about it. We don't make you feel bad about the things you've done, and we don't make you feel like it's going to be really hard to get from point A to point B. We give you the tools to get there gracefully. And it's amazing. I love seeing people grow and learn and become better. Also, you probably have some triggers in your life that are causing you to not want to look at yourself, not wanting you to make change. Figure out, what are those triggers? Why are they causing you to stay stuck? Why do they cause you to keep doing the same thing over and over and sitting there like, oh, I hope this turns out differently this time? Here's your spoiler alert. It's not going to. It's not going to be different until you step up and make a change. It's important that you realize that you have a lot of choice in life. A lot of people feel like, I don't have any choice, I'm stuck here, I don't have any. That's bull. You have a lot of choices in life. Life is nothing but choices. You have to decide to choose something. The problem that people really are experiencing is that they have all these choices and they choose nothing and they keep going. But when you make a choice not to choose, you're still choosing. You're still choosing to stay stuck. So it's time, and it's so important for you to make a choice to invest in yourself and stop staying stuck. And you know what? Here's the honest truth. It's hard to get unstuck by yourself. Most people need help. Stop staying by yourself, shrinking down, ignoring what needs to change, and staying stuck. Take a chance and invest in yourself, because you are the best investment you will ever make. Get a coach, get a counselor, work with someone, take a course. Stop trying to figure it all out by yourself and overwhelming yourself, because you just quit and then you don't even take any action at all. And you're still making a choice. You're choosing to stay stuck. If you do all of these things and really start looking at yourself, you can choose to live a better life. You can choose things that actually make you super happy. And it is not hard. When you take small steps every day, it leads to big, huge progress. It doesn't have to be overwhelming. Rome was not built in a day. You don't have to change your entire life in a day. Start small by making little changes in your life, choosing things differently, and you'll see big change. So I hope you will take a chance on yourself and start being responsible for your part in everything and taking intentional and aligned action to choose things that make you happy and make your life better so that you'll feel more fulfilled, which is why we came here in the first place. All right, guys, I pulled a card for you today. Before I read the card, I want to remind you that if you like this podcast and you're enjoying it and it's helping you, you can now listen to Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness 5 days a week. If you join me over on Patreon for $5 a month, you will get 2 extra episodes of Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness each week. And if you want to join me at the all-exclusive tier level for $10 a month, not only will you get the extra episodes, you will also get card readings, guided meditations, EFT tappings, and more bonus materials like that. Plus, I post the videos of the podcast recordings that I do with guests, so you'll actually get to watch the video of it, which I think is a cool little added bonus. So join me over on Patreon. The link is in the description to the show notes, and you will not be disappointed. I promise. There will be a new episode there every week. I want to thank you so much for those of you who have already joined me over there. I'm so excited to have you. Also, if you want to work with me, I do coaching, and I can help you get unstuck in your life and help you start to take a look at what needs to change. You can just go to my website, melissaoatman.com. There you can book a free discovery call with me. There's a button right on the front page of my homepage. Or I have online courses you can take, like your 10-day intensive self-love course to help you build your self-confidence. All my course information and my offerings are available from the homepage of my website. Everything is there. And to purchase, just go to my offerings page. And just reach out. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. I love hearing from my listeners, and I will talk to you all day long if you want, because I love helping people, and it is my desire to help you heal and to live your absolute best life. So join me over there at melissaoatman.com. Join me on Patreon. Follow me on social media. All the good stuff. All right, so the card I pulled for you today is from my deck, Divine Whispers, and it is Nurture Your Relationships. Friendships are so important because they teach us about unconditional love. Our friends make us laugh, comfort us through tough times, and they make us feel special. The universe is asking you to nurture your friendships right now. Is there someone you need to reach out to? Make sure to check on your friends today. Send a loving note or card. Bring them a flower or a bottle of wine. Do something special to remind them that you are here and that you care. Friendships are a blessing from God. Remember to pray for your friends and thank God for bringing them into your life. There are actually two mantras that go with this card. The first one is, I am welcoming into my life relationships that nourish me. I am attracting only positive people into my life. All right, I love that message so much, and I want to thank each and every one of you for being here with me today. As always, if you like this podcast, please subscribe. Please leave a positive review from wherever you're listening, and if you could leave me some stars on iTunes, I'd super appreciate that. Also, if you recommend my podcast to someone you think might enjoy it, that helps me in my mission to help others heal. So thank you so much to those of you who've already done that. I hope that you guys are having a beautiful day from wherever you're listening. As always, I'm sending you so much love and light, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.